Welcome back, my beautiful humans. I'm so glad you joined me today. Today, we're going to talk about your superpower. What? You don't have a superpower? Oh, but you do. Everyone has this superpower, but we don't use it very often. It's called vulnerability. And yes, it is a superpower. We all share struggles, and we can find strength in our vulnerability. And we can blend that with sincerity and explore how, through vulnerability, as uncomfortable as it is key to personal growth, connection, and inner strength. Now, before you go clicking off this video because I said the word vulnerability, hold up. I know it sounds like one of those cringe-worthy words that make you want to crawl into a blanket fort and eat snacks and avoid eye contact with anyone for the next 2 weeks. But just hear me out. Vulnerability isn't a weakness. As I said, it's a superpower. It's actually where the magic happens. And today we're going to explore why opening up to our struggles, not just the glossy Instagram version of ourselves, can actually be your superpower. So buckle up because we're going to get real. And maybe, just maybe, we'll even make vulnerability cool. So what is vulnerability anyway? Let's break it down. What we mean when we say vulnerability. Because for some reason, we've got this weird idea that being vulnerable is like showing up to your job interview wearing a shirt that says, "Please, I'm a mess and I need help. Hire me." But vulnerability isn't about oversharing or airing all of your emotional baggage in a group chat. No. Vulnerability is just about being open, honest, and real with yourself and others about the stuff that's hard, the stuff that makes you human. It's letting people see you for who you are. You're who you truly are, not the polished version that you put yourself out on social media, but the messy, tired, sometimes we need to laugh so we don't cry versions of ourselves. Here's the thing. We all have struggles. Some of us hide them under "I'm fine." And we all know they're not. An expertly curated selfie. But trust me, everyone is going through something. Whether it's work stress, relationship drama, feeling like you're not enough, or trying to figure out what your life actually means. We're all in this together. I've told you before, no one gets out alive. We look around and see people seemingly crushing it, getting promotions, traveling the world, living their best life. But here's the truth. We're all in different stages of figuring things out. Even that person on social media who looks like they have it all together. They probably spent 20 minutes just getting the perfect photo, holding their breath so their anxiety doesn't show. We're all just trying to keep it together, and that's perfectly okay. So why don't we embrace this vulnerability thing? Why does the word itself make our hearts race and our palms sweat like we're about to do a public speech in front of an angry crowd? And in our underwear? Simple answer. Fear. We're terrified of being judged. We're afraid that if we show our true selves, people will see us as weak, or worse, unworthy. It's like we have the secret rule book that says, don't let anyone know you struggle. Otherwise, they might not want to be friends with you. But here's the kicker. Vulnerability isn't about showing weakness. In fact, it takes a lot of strength to let someone see the real you. The you that has bad days, the you that feels insecure, the you that's trying to figure things out. That's the part of you that deserves to be celebrated and not hidden. And spoiler alert, the people who actually love and support you, they already know you're human. And they'll love you more for showing up, imperfections and all. Now let's talk about the magic that happens when you do let that vulnerability out into the world. When you're honest with yourself and embrace the glorious mess that your beautiful human self is, and others see your struggles, you're giving permission for others to do the same. You're letting them know you're not going to judge. And when you do that, because that vulnerability lets down a wall, that's where your connection is. That's when it happens. That's how you build those relationships that sometimes last forever, sometimes come at just a point in your life where you needed that person. You know, they say, people come and go out of your lives like seasons, and they do. But then there are others that stay and they see it all. And that connection is so important. If you think about it, when you share something hard, whether it's a failure, a setback, or just a rough patch, how many times have you had someone say, "Oh my gosh, I feel the exact same way"? It's like you've unlocked this secret club where everyone is allowed to be real. And suddenly, you realize you're not alone. And we've touched on that before when I've talked to you about kindness. And it's about seeing other people and making that connection and letting them know that they were seen and that they're not alone. Because so many of us feel alone in all of our struggles, too afraid to open up, too afraid to be real. Because one, we're already judging ourselves and we put it to such a high standard that it's absolutely ridiculous. My goodness. So then we automatically think others are judging in that same manner. And we're not giving them any credit at all that they're not, and they wouldn't. By being open, you create space for others to be open, and it creates a ripple effect of honesty and support. I mean, isn't that what we all really need? To know that we're not out here battling life solo, which didn't come with a manual, which really ticks me off. Because, we're all out here just kind of floating in the wind and trying to figure it out. It'd be helpful if there was a guide somewhere, but that's not going to happen. So, by being vulnerable, using your superpower, it gives us the opportunity to make the connections And we can actually lean on others instead of pretending we've got it all figured out. Because I don't know about you, but I don't have any of this figured out. I fly by the seat of my pants a lot of times. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I try, and I keep telling myself that fear is a liar. It is not forget everything and run. It is face everything and rise. So let's talk about how vulnerability doesn't just connect us to others. It actually makes us stronger. How does it make us stronger, you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because every time you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you're practicing self-acceptance. You're learning that it's okay to not have all the answers, that it's okay to be messy, and that you don't have to hide. You don't have to hide behind a mask of perfection, which we all know perfection is a lie. There ain't nothing perfect about this world. There's nothing perfect about any single one of us. We are all a glorious mess, and we need to embrace it. And once we do, it opens us up to be more accepting of love and respect, not just from others, but from ourselves. And here's the secret that only those who've embraced their vulnerability know. It makes you authentically strong. You're no longer trying to hold up a fake facade or pretend you're something you're not, or pretend to be something you don't want to be. You're standing in the truth, flaws and all. And that, my friends, that takes guts. Every time you speak truth, you empower yourself. Every time you share a struggle, you break down a barrier that says, I'm not good enough. And you replace it with, I'm exactly who I'm meant to be. So, if we're going to embrace vulnerability, and believe me, we really should, how do we start? How do we actually do this without feeling like we're exposing our entire soul to the internet? And believe me, I have been struggling with this for some time, and I'm actually still struggling with it, putting this out here. I am making myself vulnerable by putting this out here to all of you. And I'm hoping not to get eaten alive, just like the rest of us. So step one, and I'm sorry, I'm going to really start trying to use a different transitional word. Start small. Share something personal with someone you trust, a friend, a family member, heck, even your therapist. You don't need to unload all your emotional baggage at once. Although sometimes it would be nice. You know, you ever get that feeling deep inside your chest and you feel like if you just don't say it, you're going to explode? Keep it to that thing. Because we're starting small. You're just dipping your toes into the deep end. No one's throwing you in with a concrete block telling you to swim. Step two, we're going to be kind to ourselves. Vulnerability doesn't mean you're weak or flawed, for that matter. It means you're brave. So treat yourself with compassion you'd show to a friend. I know that's really hard If a friend of yours was struggling, would you tell them they're a failure? No, you absolutely would not. You would be there cheering them on, telling them they've got this, and that you're there for them. Do that for yourself. I know it's kind of hard, but you can do it. I believe in you. Lastly, own it. Don't apologize for being human. We're all in this together. If we can all just admit that life is hard sometimes, we might actually find that the world is a lot more forgiving and supportive than we think. What's the takeaway? Vulnerability isn't something to fear. It is something to embrace. The struggle we all face, those don't make us weak. They make us human. And by sharing those struggles, we build real connections. We grow stronger. And as a bonus, we start loving ourselves just a little bit more every day. So I'd like to say thanks for hanging out with me today. If this video spoke to you, share it with a friend who might need a little encouragement to open up, or drop a comment about your own journey with vulnerability. Remember, you're not alone in this messy, wonderful human experience called life. I'll ask you to remember, be kind, be grateful, stay humble. Until next time.